following video is brought to you by YouTube, where YouTube Kids is probably more popular with pedophiles than actual children. Rouge the Bat, one of the most popular and infamous characters to come out of the Sonic series, with a fun, sassy personality, a cool spy aesthetic, and a huge pair of ears. It's easy to see how she became so popular, but you've probably noticed that the title of this video is a little different from the other videos in this series. This series is typically reserved for characters who are very polarizing among the Sonic community. There's always some discourse surrounding Sonic, Shadow, and especially Amy regarding how they've been written in recent years. But Rouge is a little different. There's absolutely misconceptions about her in the fanbase, and we'll get to them. But ultimately, I'd argue most Sonic fans understand her fine. I'd even argue most writers working on the series understand her fine. I've been very open about my dislike for Ian Flynn's writing, but I think Rouge is one of his more consistently good characters. I think we have the wrong picture there, can we... Okay, yeah, there we go. I think it was the cowboy hat. To be honest, I don't think I've ever actually disliked Rouge in a Sonic game. She's always great. But why is that? And why do I think she's still being mishandled if she's one of the better written characters in the series? Well, to answer the first question, Rouge is a very flexible character, and I think a big part of that is because of her character archetype. Rouge is a femme fatale, a sexy and seductive character who uses her charms to get what she wants. Because of this, Rouge can play multiple roles in a story. If she needs to be a hero, she can be a hero. If she needs to be a villain, she can be a villain. Rouge always acts with her own self-interest at heart. She won't get involved unless there's something in it for her. And as long as that remains consistent, whatever role she plays will always feel natural.
If you let me have those emeralds, kid, I'll get you out of here.
You know I can't do that.
Well, you're lost. Later!
But while Rouge is very greedy and selfish, she's not heartless. There's always been more to Rouge than she lets on. Her connection to Knuckles and especially Shadow show a softer side to her. Shadow and Rouge are never directly referred to as friends, but that's what I like about them. Their relationship is a little more complicated than that. It goes beyond friendship. They both just get each other. They both prefer to work alone, but they'll always have each other's back. Shadow saved her life, and his death left a huge impact on her. It adds this extra layer to Rouge. She's not just a one-note thief. Underneath all that sass and greed is a deeply caring person who would go to the ends of the earth for those she cares about.
Shadow? Even if you believe everyone in the world will be against you, know that I'll always remain by your side. Remember that.
I will.
And while she might tease Knuckles, she's also been shown to have a soft spot for him. It shows that while she uses her charm to get what she wants, she's not shallow. She does form these strong connections with people, even if she doesn't always admit it. There's a part of her that longs for a deeper connection. She can be strong, she can be silly. Rouge commands every scene she's in. Wherever she goes, she's in control and one step ahead.
Boy, I could really go for a cup of coffee.
What? Listen, Missy, this isn't a country club. You're in deep trouble.
Yeah, I know, so I've heard. But all I want's a cup of coffee. Don't be such a nag.
So yeah, Rouge is pretty great and pretty consistent compared to other characters in the series. So how can she be mishandled? Well, ironically, the problem with Rouge lies in everything but her writing. Take her voice, for instance. The voice of a character is almost as important as the design itself. It's why we have so many debates about the best Sonic cast. Poor casting can damage how people see a character. And it's not the fault of the actors themselves either. Voice actors are hired guns. They show up, read the script, and do what the director tells them. And Rouge, like most Sonic characters, has gone through multiple English voice actors since her debut. If you were to ask me my favourite, I would say Kathleen Delaney because 1, I'm biased, and 2, because I think she gave Rouge a very unique voice that set her apart from other female characters.
What'd you do that for?
'Cause I don't like your attitude. You're just a jewel thief, so you wouldn't know. Ugh, instead of being so nasty all the time, maybe you could try being nice to me once in a while, and then maybe I wouldn't find you so unlikable. As it is now, you're as sour as a truckload of lemons.
Then don't hang out with me!
I like Lani Minella too, but she's not my favourite. And as for Karen Strassman, well, let's talk about her. To make a long story short, Karen Strassman is quite a controversial figure in the Sonic community, due to her unpopular political beliefs. Now, I don't agree with any of those beliefs, nor do I blame people for being angry and advocating for her to be recast. I don't consider myself a political person. I don't care for politics, and I'm not particularly educated on it. I am a poorly drawn cartoon avatar in a Sonic hoodie. There's a time and a place, you know? All I can say is that this is strictly about Karen Strassman's voice work. I'll leave the political debates to people who actually know what they're talking about. With all that said, yeah, Karen's Rouge is pretty bad. Now, to be fair, I didn't always feel that way. I actually think her earlier Rouge is really good and brought something different to the table while still feeling like Rouge.
I was never good with rules. So, care to join us? Of course! The race would have gone just the same whether that junk heap was there or not.
That's a terrible thing to say about your own teammate.
The race is over. We're not teammates anymore, kid. Thanks, Big Blue. That's the first time I've ever been stolen. Shadow, we've got a report from the Intelligence Division. They've located an unknown base of operations that seems to be totally outside the chain of command for Eggman's army.
But for some reason, it just got worse and worse over time.
Well, Shadow, now that you and Sonic have finished your little ego competition, do you think we can address the real problem? Easy there, big guy. You don't want to blow a gasket. One more question. Since you're a king and everything, do you have a crown covered with jewels and a treasure vault filled with precious gems? You've managed to tick me off. You're shaping up to be quite the impressive young man. Way to show up these amateurs. Huh? What does that even mean?
Aren't you coming? He might need your help.
I need to settle something first.
Whatever.
Turn it off. Turn it off!
What happened here? What direction was she given to make Rouge sound like this? I can't even tell what the voice is supposed to sound like. Is she southern? Is she drunk? Is she a valley girl? I have no idea, but it's definitely not Rouge. Because of this awful direction, it's kind of hard to read what her personality is supposed to be. It lacks that effortless, playful charm previous voices had. Maybe it's an attempt to make her sound less mature and therefore less sexual? I don't know, but it just doesn't work. A good performance can elevate a bad script, but a good script can be ruined by a bad performance. Even if Rouge is saying things Rouge would say, saying it in that voice completely takes me out of it. That kind of inconsistency can ruin a character. Rouge's voice is so inconsistent that it actively takes away from her identity. But now for the most contentious part of Rouge's character, her design. I love Rouge's design. As far as I'm concerned, it's perfect. Like all great characters, everything you need to know about Rouge can be seen just by looking at her. Not only that, she's one of the most unique looking characters in the series, easily standing out from the rest of the cast. She was designed as a rival to Knuckles, but while Knuckles is very bulky and imposing, traits seen as more traditionally masculine, Rouge is sleek and graceful, traits more traditionally feminine. Instead of getting her hands dirty, she fights with her powerful kicks. Instead of using brute force, she uses her intellect and stealth skills to get the job done. Rouge is unapologetically feminine, and that's something that's baked into her design. Rouge's look gets a lot of flack for how provocative it can be, which has led to her design being kind of a running joke in the Sonic fanbase. I mean, yeah, her design is pretty ridiculous when you look at it, but it also serves a purpose. I think Rouge's design is funny in the same way Jessica Rabbit has a funny design. Is she designed to be over-sexualized? Yes. Is she more than her design? Absolutely. Is it still kind of funny?
Sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a cartoon bat with boobs, it's just inherently kind of silly. But as I said, her design serves its purpose. Rouge is designed to be sexy, or at least convey that idea. Giving her these exaggerated proportions sells the idea while also staying true to what the character is. No other character in Sonic looks or acts like Rouge, which is what makes her so great. She was modelled after Jennifer Lopez, who was very popular at the time. This is why she initially had a darker skin tone. Rouge, like Knuckles, was designed with various ethnic influences. Influences that have kind of been lost over time, which is lame and only serves to make the Sonic cast less unique. With that said, let's talk about modern Rouge. See, Rouge has been at the centre of a bit of controversy in the last few years due to the changes made to her design. Now, Rouge is no stranger to different designs. Her original outfit was changed in Heroes for being too sexual. Then it came back in Shadow the Hedgehog with a different colour scheme. Then it went back to the original, though with some alterations to her body. Her proportions weren't as exaggerated in SA2, but the changes made to her were in line with the changes made to the other characters. It felt more like a stylistic shift as opposed to a statement on Rouge as a character. Though it is worth mentioning that Rouge definitely had the most alterations in this department. There was a clear effort to try and desexualize Rouge, but in recent years it's kind of gotten out of hand. When Shadow Generations came out, people noticed that Rouge's model from Generations had been tweaked slightly. Her chest plate had been pulled up, her suit covered more of her back, and her breast size was reduced. This was weird since no one had a problem with how Rouge looked in the original Generations. And even then, the changes don't make any sense. Rouge's back was exposed so there was room for her wings, but now they awkwardly clip into a suit. Her chest plate being raised creates less space between her head and her body, making her body less defined. And her breasts, well, it's kind of hard to talk about them without sounding like a creep, but they were an important part of her design. Rouge's body wasn't just appropriate for her design, but it made her unique and gave the female cast some nice body diversity. It's sad that someone at Sega looked at Rouge and deemed her too inappropriate. Women have breasts, and it's perfectly natural, and they can't control the size of their breasts either. You could argue this is a minuscule change, and you'd be right, it is. But it's not the change itself that's the problem, it's the attitude behind it. If it's such a small change, why change it to begin with? All it does is send a message that women with large breasts are inherently sexual and too inappropriate for general audiences. Which is ridiculous. What's happening to Rouge can't be described as anything other than censorship for the sake of marketability. These changes were implemented sometime after the Sonic movies. Not only did the movies rake in a ton of money, they also introduced a lot of kids to Sonic. With the Sonic brand being as successful as it is now, I can only assume Sega is taking steps to make the cast as marketable as possible for general audiences. And since Rouge is one of the most popular female characters next to Amy, even getting a role in Sonic Prime, which was also aimed at kids, it's clear they wanted to make her as inoffensive as possible to avoid controversy. And some of you may be thinking, well, good, right? Sonic is aimed at kids after all. And while that may be true, I don't think that's a fair point. Sonic was always aimed at kids, and no one had a problem with how Rouge looked in the past. And considering the stuff kids are into now, is this really that big of an issue? Kids aren't stupid. They know when they're being talked down to. That's why so many of them gravitate to things that may not be appropriate for them. Kids like to feel grown up, and I think that's one of the reasons why Sonic was so successful. Sonic was bold and different, it had an edge. It respected the audience and didn't talk down to them. Rouge is just another victim of Sega's sanitation of the Sonic series. The original intent behind her character design is being stripped away piece by piece. And it's a shame because she's such a great character. A consistently great character. Rouge deserves to stand out like she always has. To exist without shame or compromise. Because she's one of a kind. A diamond in the rough.